All right, took a little time off from filming, sailed with some friends around the Chesapeake for a bit, and made it down here to Norfolk, Virginia. I do have crew coming later on, but they're not ready yet. So I'm going to be doing some solo sailing for a while. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I haven't really done much single handing on this boat. I have on other boats, but this one will be so this will be a really long trip I'm doing coming up. I'm leaving from Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm probably going to go to Charleston, South Carolina. Maybe even a little further. I've got like perfect wind for headed that way, good conditions, so I'm going to go as far as I can take it physically. Or however I want to get down there. So I've got the engine warming up, I'm popping off the water tanks, and then we'll get out of here.
There are always a few last minute things to do to get ready on a long sail.
It'd be interesting turning around in this little yacht basin because it's not very big, and the wind's at a good angle for it, but you know, we'll see. Made it off the dock, no problem. Had perfect conditions for it. Went right down the bow, so headed out. This is the largest naval base in America, or in the world, really. I think is the Norfolk Naval Station here. It's like 4 miles of dock, so it's pretty big here. But so we got about 5 or 6 miles down this channel before we turn back out in the Chesapeake, and then a very short way we'll be out into the Atlantic Ocean. Just turned the corner coming out of the channel there and headed generally southeast at the moment. I got about another 4 or 5 miles and I heard basically south. I'll be a little faster point of sail at that point. Only doing about 5 knots right now. Was motor sailing, but the engine started getting a little warm. I was able to shut it off and I checked the fuel, the water strainer, it was pretty much clear. So I'm letting the engine cool off a little bit, and then I'll take a look at the raw water impeller. It's probably what it is. I haven't changed that impeller. Well, I have never changed it, and I don't know when the last time it was changed. So I'm pretty sure it's the impeller, but I just got to let the engine cool off for a little while before I do that. But I mean, I was planning to sail now anyway. So, all right, we're on our way. All right, turn the corner and headed pretty much due south now, and in the lee of the land right there with 11, 12 knots of wind. I got a little current with me making 7.5 knots. I mean, it's just flat out here. This is perfect. This is why I was looking forward to this sail. And I figured I'd do it single-handed just because I think it's gonna be perfect conditions the whole time. And 48 hours of this, I'll just kind of take little cat naps in the cockpit at night, and man, I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty nice. Already doing over 7 knots. Well, the raw water pump itself looks pretty good, actually. I'll show you here, but and it's the fluids were full on the coolant. I guess I can take some hoses off and see if I can peek inside the heat exchanger, see if it's gunked up or something. I don't know. Well, I took it all apart, put it back together. I mean, I just opened up the opening to the heat exchanger. I didn't see anything. There was a little bit tiny little bit of seaweed in there. Maybe that was enough to cause it slowly to heat up. But really, I'd have to pull the whole thing out to really get a good look at it and check it out. And I'm not gonna do that right now. Because it doesn't heat up that fast. I mean, I'm planning on sailing the whole time anyway, so I'll just kind of be easy on the engine, get to Charleston, and then take the heat exchanger off and see what's going on with that, and hopefully that's it. I mean, it's doubtful, like the raw water pumps rarely go wrong. They're mechanical, right? It's a gear. I mean, I guess the gear could have stripped out, but that's not very common. It's more likely the impeller, just a little rubber impeller, and that looked fine. So I don't know. I'll just have to be easy on it for a little while. And I did check. I mean, it is putting water out the exhaust, so you know, I don't know what it could be. Maybe thermostat or something. I'll have to check. Well, so I could not find my spare thermostat. I don't even know if I have one, honestly. So the other one, it seems okay. I pulled this out. I just pulled it out. It's obviously not ideal. because it needs to be warm enough to run right. I'll just kind of baby the engine, but it's better than too hot, you know what I mean? So we'll see. I pulled the thermostat out and we'll see how it goes.
With just the Genoa and the mizzen up, I was absolutely flying at over 8 knots, but the wind was definitely stronger than forecast at over 20 knots.
Well, it's what, 1:30 in the morning, doing all right, making 8.5 knots. I reefed the Genoa to the 3rd point on there. We still got the mizzen up and it's just fully up, but we got 25 knots of wind. It's been steadily increasing for the last couple hours. I've been kind of napping off and on, you know, just laying here, and then I'll set my alarm for like an hour later. I'll make sure I check everything. You know, there's no boats coming in my general direction or anything, and then I'll set my alarm for an hour, but I never make it an hour anyway. So I'll sleep for like 30 minutes, and then I'll wake up and check things, go back to sleep. But yeah, making really good time now, over 8 knots. So was seeing close to 9 knots for a while, but then I had to reef because it's getting a little crazy. So doing all right.
In the morning when I turned the motor on, it ran cool if anything, so that led me to believe that the problem was in fact the thermostat.
Alright, had a pretty good sailed all night, no motor or anything, but just turned Cape Hatteras there. Now we're a little bit close hauled, and so motor sailing just to get through this. We get on the leeward side of Hatteras, and should hopefully smooth out a little, but it's pretty rough up here right now, so just trying to motor sail to get through it. But I got about 65 miles left to go today. Well, that's till I clear Cape Lookout, and then I'll anchor. It'll still take me another 12 miles to get up into Cape Lookout, and I'll anchor there for the night before continuing on to Charleston tomorrow. But yeah, I slept maybe I don't know, a couple hours. I was kind of napped during the day today. Well, it's getting a little sporty out here. 25, 26 knots of wind, and we're beating into it. And it's just not a fun day out here. Pretty rough. Got maybe 30 miles to go, then I can turn up around this Cape Lookout. And I'm just gonna go to Beaufort and spend the evening there. I don't want to do this overnight. It's supposed to get stronger wind too, so pretty rough out here.
The winds were forecast to be 20 knots out of the north, but they kept shifting more and more out of the west and becoming stronger, approaching 30 knots. This made me veer to the south and actually have to tack.
Alright, I'm gonna tack. Hopefully get a little closer into shore where maybe less wind, I get some current, get out of some of these waves. Side. I'm telling you, without this thing, a little Billy would be a lot harder. Wind's blowing 25 to 30. I've seen as much as 36. Beating into it too, so like, you know, 60 degrees off the true wind just sucks doing that. It's just spray everywhere. I mean, we've got 27 knots of wind right now, 30. Not fun. Still got 22 miles till I turn the corner. And it'll be a little better. And I got 34 miles left to go total, so it sucks.
It was a rough ride and winds over 30 knots. At some point, the lines holding the Highfield dinghy broke loose and it was swinging wildly. I had to go back to try and save it. I clipped in, but I clipped in on the davits, which in hindsight was a bad move. If those davits had broken off, it would have taken me with it. I skipped ahead on a lot of this, but it really took me about 10 minutes or more to secure all the lines, and it was not easy. Inside my life jacket is a PLB, or personal locator beacon, and an AIS transmitter. I highly recommend everyone sailing offshore has one of those, because if you go in the water, that's one of the only ways you can be found. After some long, hard work, I finally had the dinghy secured.
Well, at least I know my davits are pretty strong. "30 knots sustained winds right now. So I've got 2 miles until I can turn, but I'll be going straight into the wind basically. It's 28 knots of wind right now, gusting over 30. I've had to replace a couple lines on the dinghy that have chafed through. If I lose another one, I don't know that I can save it. I'm really worried about it. I got 14 miles to go, 2 miles until I turn. Then I'll be going straight into the wind and waves. So I'm hoping that it takes some of the side load off of it and maybe reduce the chafing. But then I'm gonna be going really slow. Fuck. I mean, 30 knots of wind right now. This is not cool. I think my transmission or my motor just blew up. I think it's transmission. Fuck. So now I gotta sail this thing all the way to fucking Anchorage. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I can make. Oh my god. Oh my god. so far out and then tack back up. Here. So I put the mizzen up just to balance the boat a little bit, because you can't really, with this much wind, you can't really get any rudder authority with just that genoa out. So I got the mizzen up and the genoa sailing. Gonna try to sail to the anchorage. It's only 12 miles, but it's dead into the wind. So it's gonna be like 25, 30 miles of sailing just to get up there. And 30 plus knots of wind.
The sustained winds were 35 knots plus.
I'm pretty well fucked. I mean, I think I can sail it back. I mean, I am sailing it back. But the transmission, when it burned up, it burned out my radio here. I think my radio downstairs still works. It burned out my 110, so I think it got my inverter wet. Because it burned up a water line, and so now the bilge is full of, I think it's water from my water tanks. And so that shorted out a bunch of stuff. Luckily my 12-volt system's still working, so I have my autopilot and everything. And I got my navigation. If that goes, I mean, this is a bad night. I mean, this is gonna be, I mean, it could get worse. I mean, it could be a total loss. But right now, it's under control. Well, my dinghy davits just broke. I think I'm gonna have to cut the dinghy loose before it causes any more damage. Fuck. But I got a tack here. God damn. Well, I just had to call the Coast Guard. I'm taking on water. Evidently, when the transmission shredded itself, it burned something up. I don't know. But there's water in the boat. It's filling up, so there's at least a couple feet of water in the bilge. My main concern is when that water gets big enough or high enough, you know, shorts out. It's shorted out already, most of my electronics, but my 12-volt navigation stuff is still working. Autopilot's still working. Oddly enough, the stereo is still working, but that's it. So that's my concern, is that if it gets any higher and shorts out all that stuff, then I got nothing. I mean, I have a hydraulic steering, but I mean, like, it's night, trying to steer with a compass and use my iPhone for charts, not a good idea. So they're gonna call me back here in just a minute and tell me what they're gonna do. I think either, I mean, I don't know, it's not exactly great weather, so they may try to pass me a pump, get somebody on the boat, bring me a pump, and then maybe tow me. I don't know, find out. Well, I couldn't film it, but the Coast Guard's here. Hooked up the tow and they're towing me into calmer water so that they can give me a pump to pump out the water. But while I was up there hooking up the tow line, I figured out what happened. I always keep the anchors locked down. I put a little cleat on them and everything. I guess it was so rough that it knocked that off, and my standby anchor went under the boat and is now caught up in the prop. And so that's basically what happened. I mean, I don't know how bad it looks under there. So my anchor went under the boat and the line got caught in the prop. And here we are. It's gonna be very expensive. Minimum new transmission, new prop, all my electrical's fried, new inverter, new everything. Everything's fucked. We're talking 50, 60 grand or more. Let's go show you some of the damage down here. I mean, first of all, it's a fucking train wreck. None of the lighting, none of the electronics work. For some reason, the navigation equipment and the stereo work, and nothing else works. And then let's look under here. Everything's underwater. Everything. All the electronics, the inverter, the engine, the generator, the batteries. And it got so hot. Look at this. Oh, it's all soot. Water's down there.
Just checking in on you, Captain. See how everything's going.
Yeah, I was just checking it out there. There's about 18 inches, 2 feet of water, something like that. But I think it's okay for now.
Coast Guard Swallow, Roger, Cap. Is your transmission in neutral at this time? Over.
It is. Are you pulling a little harder than you think you should?
Is the water inside your bilge getting worse, or is it kind of sustaining? Over.
It's slowly filling, but it's sustaining a little. I think it's you know, the prop shaft is bent or something, so water's coming in from there, so it's not like gushing, but it's you know, it's leaking. And again, what happened is, what I think happened is that my standby anchor somehow let go of its mount. I had it locked down, but anyway, and then went back and got wrapped in the prop because it had a bunch of, it was only, I'm not sure how much chain it was maybe 50 feet of chain and then the rest rode. So I'm not really sure where that anchor is now. If it's still attached to that road and trapped in the prop, hanging under the boat, or what? I'm not really sure.
Naughty Dog, Coast Guard Swallow, Roger, Captain. Do you know how thick that line is? Over.
Well, the road is about maybe 3/4 of an inch, and the chain was 3/8 inch. But again, you know, I don't know where. You know, I just don't know if it cut the chain off and the road's trapped in there, or if the chain's hanging underneath and the anchor's hanging underneath the boat, or whatever. I don't know. Over.
Naughty Dog, Coast Guard, Roger, good copy, Cap. Yeah, we'll be able to better assess exactly what the casualty is once we get inland. Request to know if you still have your primary anchor available. Over.
I do. That's affirmative. Primary still there. I'm uncertain if my windlass works though, but I can put it down. Getting it up may be an issue, but I can check that before I put it down. Well, I didn't really film much of it last night. I just didn't think it'd be appropriate with the Coast Guard guys helping out. But basically, Coast Guard came, towed me in here, where at least it's a little bit calm, and pumped the water out of the boat. There was at least 2 feet of water in there. So what happened is that I've got a forward anchor, a spare, and it was locked down. I had it clipped in, but you know, the seas were so big and heavy that it must have come loose. That forward anchor only has about 50 feet of chain and the rest rode. Well, so it dropped down, whatever. Then the rode came back under the boat, got caught in the prop. And then the, it sounded like a fuel thing, honestly, so I didn't turn it off right away, because the engine didn't just quit or bog down. It slowly rolled back, which is what happens when it's fuel. And so I was kind of messing with it, and then it wasn't getting, so I turned on like the fuel boost pump to it, and it wasn't really responding, and then it started responding, but was producing no power. I mean, the engine was revving and everything though. I didn't know it, but obviously I was destroying the transmission when that happened. And the transmission got really hot, and burned any electrical line near it, any water line near it. So the hole started flooding with water from the freshwater tanks, and I'm sure it melted a cooling line, because then seawater started coming in, and there's still a lot of water in there. But so at a bare minimum, the transmission's toast. Maybe the motor, I don't know. Probably not. But 2 feet of water in your bilge destroys everything electrical. The generator was underwater, batteries were underwater, inverter charger was underwater, everything. Not to mention all the water damage from it sloshing around. 2 feet of water and 30 knot winds. Water's going everywhere. It's all throughout everywhere in the boat. It was coming through the floorboards. Now waiting on sea tow, and sea tow will take me to one marina around here that can drop my mast, because the only boatyard that can handle my size boat is under a bridge that I cannot get under, and it's still blowing 30 knots out here. And the dinghy, because I was in such big seas and beating into them and everything, and it was a little bit bigger dinghy than I should have had, but it broke the davits. Well, it chafed. I had lines securing it, right? It was doing just fine with that securing, and I had several lines on it. One of them chafed through. I was able to replace that line. Then it chafed through again. I could not get another line on it to stop it, and eventually it broke the davits, and it was going down, so I cut the dinghy loose. And as it did, I hooked a tow line on it to try to salvage it and tow it, but as it was going down, it got popped, and so it was just dragging through the water, so I cut her loose. I mean, the boat's totaled. It's the amount of work and money to replace everything electrical, everything plumbing, I mean, you got to pull the motor out, you got to pull the generator out, you got to pull everything out, have it overhauled, put back in, get a new one, whatever. You're talking, I had the boat insured for I wanted to insure for more, but they would only insure for my purchase price, which was $135. I just can't imagine it's going to be fixed. And then my insurance policy, where I was supposed to be in the Caribbean right now, down in like Grenada and all that, COVID happened. I didn't go down there, so I came back to the States. Technically, that's not my policy, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll cover me on something. It's shit. All right, you can see all the burn and smoke damage there. The motor, I mean, it's just covered in soot. Every electrical and plumbing line is in there and covered in soot. There's a lot of them that are burned and destroyed and melted. The engine was submerged partially, so it needs to be basically cleaned out, unpickled and all that stuff. The inverter charger soaked and wet. The generator submerged. The batteries submerged. Basically everything's got to be gutted in here. It's a lot of money. And under here, what I'm about to show you is the transmission and the electrical control panel for the engine, remote panel, and everything's just covered in, soot and transmission fluid and burned and melted, and all of that needs to be replaced. So it's pretty sad. Just when I was getting her ship shape and about how I wanted her, might be saying goodbye. I mean, somebody could refit her maybe. I don't want to do it. So all that happened about a month ago, and so for the past, basically I put the boat to bed and kind of got it situated, and for the past month I've been helping deliver a yacht for someone else you might know.
Yeah! So it's
Taylor.
Sad circumstances how you were able to end up coming to help me, but I've been very, very thankful to have you, and
Yeah, so I left the boat here in Beaufort, and then went up to New Rochelle in Long Island where she had bought this boat. You can check out Taylor's Travels to have more information on that.
Yeah, and now we've done what did we say today? It's like
600 miles.
Yeah, 600
nautical miles. Yeah, so I helped her get it from Long Island Sound all the way down here to Beaufort, and now my boat is on the dock right over there. So we just kind of went in it, and Taylor's a little sad now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty emotional. I freaking love that boat. I mean, that was the first boat that, I traveled the Caribbean in, or that I did, and so cheers to Naughty Dogs.
Naughty Dogs.
It really is sad, but I'm really glad that you're okay.
Thank you. So the aftermath of the whole thing is I'm very lucky that none of the fuel lines ruptured when they were being melted. They were the high quality, super high heat resistant fuel lines, because if one of those, because they were right above the transmission, if those had ruptured, as a fire,
that would have been...
Yeah, I mean, I'm abandoning ship at that point. Got the repair estimate, $98,000 in repairs, not including the davits. 60,000 of that is labor, so only 38,000 in parts, which honestly that's not too bad. The problem is that it's going to be 4 to 6 months of work, and 60,000 in labor. I don't have the desire to do it, and I can't really wait that long. I mean, this is what I do for a living. I gotta make videos, so yeah. Basically, I am putting the boat up for sale. I think I'm gonna list it for $45,000. I figure, if somebody just wants to pay to have it redone, $100,000 plus the davits, so 110. They've got, so if they buy it for 45, they're into it for 155, and they've got a pretty world capable cruising boat. I think it would be worth close to 200 at that point. So you're getting a deal. Now, if you wanted to do the work on it mostly yourself, I mean, you pay 45, you put 60 into it, you're at 105, and you've got a close to $200,000 boat for that if you can do the work yourself. So Bobby at Sailing Doodles if you're interested. So that's kind of the plan. And then I am going to look at either, I've been talking to a couple different charter companies on deals with them, and then maybe I'm even thinking about maybe doing a power yacht for a little while. We'll see.
Go to the dark side.
Go to the dark side. So thank you guys for all your support. Thanks for watching this video and doing the pay-per-view. I really appreciate it. That's kind of helping fund this whole thing coming up. Unfortunately, my insurance company is saying they're not going to pay. So when I bought the insurance policy, it was for the Caribbean, and then COVID hit. I was in the Caribbean and I came back here to the East Coast, and they're saying because I never changed the coverage area to the East Coast that they aren't going to pay, which I think is kind of shitty. I had nothing. I mean, anyway. So it's you guys. Thank you so much for helping by watching the pay-per-view. And if you'd like to help out more, I'd really appreciate it, because insurance, even though I had it insured for $135,000, they are not going to pay. I've been told to get a lawyer and stuff. We'll see. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, we'll see. If you really enjoyed it, and if you just want to help out with repairs or something, there's a link on the website where you can donate more if you'd like. I hate asking for that, but I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching, supporting, and really appreciate everything you're doing to help me out. And hopefully you're enjoying all the content, and hopefully we can continue to keep making content.
Yeah, you guys are what makes it possible.
Yeah, and thank you for all your support and everything.
You've been the best.
Well,
and yeah.
So check out Taylor's Travels on YouTube. And all right, guys, we got some work to do, so we got to clean this boat up.
Let's go.
Thank you.